Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Digital Download, the longest running weekly business talk show on LinkedIn Live, now officially syndicated on TuneIn Radio, the
IBGR
network.
Internet.
Yeah,
The something talk and news channel.
yeah, the biggest one.
Yeah.
Yeah, which hopefully means that there will be people that are watching this and enjoying this. And in fact, as we were chatting before we came on, it's quite interesting the amount of engagement that we've got on these shows, where it's just been you and I chatting about our thinking around these particular topics. Um, so the first week, obviously, we did personal brand and how important it is to have a great profile.
And even today, someone shared that.
Yeah, I noticed that, which is interesting, isn't it? And I think that's one of the interesting things about this time of year.
And about content.
yeah. Ironically, is that your content seems to have a much longer shelf life at the moment because there's less stuff being published because so many people are away. That you would never normally expect one of your posts, except for those very rare anomalies where something pops up after 2 years or whatever. You would never expect your content to be reshared, would you? Like 2 or 3 weeks later. So I think that's quite interesting.
I think it's a people often say there's no one around in the summer, and I don't believe it's the case. I actually think it's an optimum time for put out content. I mean, today is our show's about content because yes, there's less people around, but in the UK, nobody takes the whole of August off.
No,
I know that in non-speaking countries in France and Italy and places like that, maybe they do. But what's the optimum time to put out content? Is it when there's lots of people around and it's really noisy, or when there's not a lot of people around, and you've actually got more opportunity to be seen?
Yeah. So first week we did personal brand.
Yep.
Last week we did growing a network, and we were very clear that growing a network and adding connections are not necessarily the same thing. So growing a network and getting those people kind of within the orbit of your content. And today we're going to talk about content. So it's funny, isn't it, that sometimes you see things that kind of just a lovely way of articulating it. And I saw a post from someone, and they said that there's research that shows that people need to see you 12 times before they remember you and notice you. So if you share one piece of content a month, it takes them a year to know you. If you share one piece of content a day, it takes them a couple of weeks to get to know you. And actually, this is a really big thing, because I know that you've seen the same, Tim, that during the course of working in this space and working with people and training them and coaching those people, one of the biggest, I guess, limiting beliefs that people have is that I don't want to publish too much stuff because I don't want to become ubiquitous and kind of overexpose and people get sick of me. So I want to publish stuff infrequently enough that my audience kind of are waiting for my content, and they will then really respond well to my content. So what do you say to that?
I just think it's. I mean, it's one of those things that gets put out there where it's not. It's there's actually people out there in LinkedIn land that don't want you to be successful, and they actually put out stories deliberately to actually get you not to be successful. And it's a cruel world, and you say, surely people don't do that. I'm sorry, but they do. And it's a bit like it's a classic. I don't want to put out too much. Now, you can put out too much content. I was with a senior marketer on Wednesday, and we were laughing about people that put out these. Oh, we're going to do a LinkedIn takeover. And what it is it's what we're going to do is we're going to spam LinkedIn so you see us, and all you do, and as a marketer, what I do is I see and go, wow, Adam shared it, and Tim shared it, and Steve shared it. And what the buyer's going is, oh, not that content again. And it's the two sides of the coin. And that's one of the things where, LinkedIn takeovers, come on, this is about content, is about being unique, being insightful, being educational, being authentic, and actually building a digital bridge between people, rather than, what we're going to do is we're going to put out some brochure and everyone's going to share it. So the thing is that you don't know what the buyer's going to do. So if we think about your average buyer may turn up just once a week. So hi Sam.
Hi Sam.
So your buyer may just turn up once a week, and if they turn up on Tuesday and you're posting content on a Thursday, you're invisible.
Mm.
So it's one of those things where it's just one of those sort of like LinkedIn folklores that like you should only post. It's a professional network, and you should only post professional things. And it's then this is actually a good point. So I was at the meeting on Wednesday, and I luckily had taken a photograph of myself in front of some street art in Reading.
Yep.
Before the meeting, I got there early, and I'd taken a photo of the street art, which I was then going to put on LinkedIn. Here I am out and about. So it was we're back into this. Is it what's professional, what's unprofessional? So I showed this marketer a picture of me in the front of the street art. I said, is that unprofessional? No. Okay, so it can go on LinkedIn. Yes. So why won't your CEO take photos of here I am at here I am at the airport, and here I am at the, because other CEOs do that, and actually we lean in and go, oh wow, it's like no, I don't want to show anything about myself. Or all our clients are confidential. Yeah, but if I take a photo of myself in front of some street art in Reading, who have I had a meeting with? It's like,
yeah.
Well, so it's professional, and I'm not saying who the client is. So it's one of those strange things where when you actually put the logic to people, they go, oh yeah, that's what you see what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting, isn't it? Because it strikes me that, and I'll say salespeople. It's true of all people, but particularly true of salespeople. They're very good at forming relationships with people. It's what they do. It's how they are successful.
Yep.
They're very good at meeting people. They're very good at getting those people to like them, because the most successful salespeople you've ever met are people that everybody loves. They're just charming, interesting, raconteur type people.
My background is new business, and I have to build trust with people fast.
Absolutely. So it's a salesperson's superpower. It's the key thing that they have in their kit bag. And yet they come onto a digital platform, and all of the things that they know work in the real world are things that they tend not to do. So interesting. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and this person, as you know, Tim, we've just started working with this company, and this particular person, I was talking to them about their behavior online. And I said, I always get the same answer from people. If you had the option to present for an hour in a boardroom or take someone to a football match for the day, a prospect, what would you do? And they said, football match, obviously. Okay. And what would happen during the football match? Would you show them a slide deck? Would you pitch to them? Would you do your product? No, of course not. I get to know them. Okay. So you're prepared to give up a day to get to know one person in that social environment. Why would you not do that to get to know 1,000 people in a digital environment? Because and they were like, oh my god, yeah, it's just so obvious. Yeah, well, all these things are. You've pitched what we do to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and nobody's ever said to you, I don't believe that. They've all gone, yeah, well, duh, obviously, because the stuff is all really, really simple. And I think what certainly fascinates me is that despite the fact it's simple, people still hope for luck as being their savior. They don't put any rigor around their behavior. So like the posting stuff, I'm going to post when I get around to it. I'm going to post when I see something really interesting that I want to post, rather than saying I'm going to post every single day. Because if you come onto the platform on a Monday, and only on a Monday, I want to make sure that there's a chance you'll see my content. If you come on a Thursday, I want to make sure that you see my content. If you come every day, I want to make sure you see my content. And people say, well, I'll run out of things to say. Well, you won't. Because, you know, we joke with people that we've published the same bit of content every day for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Because fundamentally, you like when you read a really successful business book, it's got one kernel of thing that it covers, and the author often approaches that thing from 100 different perspectives in order to position that in a way that the penny drops. And you know yourself, you know, you read, and I use this as an example. I read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People when I was 20, and I thought, what a load of garbage. And I read it again when I was 30, and I thought, what a load of garbage. And I read it again when I was 40, and I thought, oh my God, this is the best book I've ever read. The reality is that the book hadn't changed, the reader had changed. And sometimes your perspective on things, you know, if I use certain words and position something in a certain way, you get it. And if I position it the same thing in a different way, you don't get it. So it's up to me to explore every avenue until I find the one that you go, ah, yeah, of course, that's
and any normal person living a life, regardless of whether they've got children or not, or whether they're in a relationship or not, are doing stuff and doing stuff which can be turned into content, which actually people are interested. Because the other issue that people have, isn't it, is that they say, well, I've got nothing to say. And so I've got nothing to say. And if people see my stuff, they'll just laugh at me. And, you know, I've got nothing to say. It's like, oh, come on. Did you go to the cinema this week? Oh, yeah. Did you see Mission Impossible? It was brilliant. And we actually walked in at the end by mistake, and we're in the wrong viewing. Why didn't you put that on social? No one's interested. Yes, they are.
Yeah, and
so you would go down a pub and tell that story. You would go into your colleagues and tell that story. Why don't you think that all of your network would be interested in that story?
And I think that people find passion infectious, don't they? So
yeah.
You know, you're passionate about a thing, and you think that, well, so for me, let's say it's guitars. So clearly there is a bonding opportunity for other people that share my interest in guitars. But equally, there are lots of people that have no interest in guitars that go, oh, that was really nice, or that's a really beautiful thing, or that I love how that's put together, or whatever. And if you think that, and I'm not saying that I'm a good guitarist, but when you see anybody who's good at something doing that thing, it's a delight to see. You know, so I can't skate, but watching a figure skater do their thing is beautiful. Watching a skier do their thing is beautiful. Watching a cyclist, you know, in the velodrome is beautiful. All of these things that people have an interest in, they're all interesting things for people to view. That's why we all watch Wimbledon, even when we don't play tennis, and the Olympics, even when we don't throw a javelin, because it's just interesting to watch people that are good at something do that thing.
I've been to Wimbledon, I don't know, was it 4 of the last 5 years, and I don't even understand the scoring.
Well, we went to, when we were in Winnipeg on business a few years ago, we went to see
we went ice skate. I've been to see ice skating 3 times. I don't understand the score. It's kind of, you put it in the goal and you kind of, but I didn't know why one bloke was put in the sin bin or anything like that. I didn't, but it's
didn't take away from the joy though, did it?
No, I think ice skating is absolutely brilliant. I'd go anywhere where I when we were in Calgary, it was like ice skating's on, we're going. It's an amazing sport because it happens so fast, and it's like fights happen, and so it's raw.
Fighting on ice.
Yeah.
So I think one of the interesting things about content, and I think that the thing that so I've got a picture to show. Shall I show a picture?
Yeah.
So
I haven't done that before. While you're doing that, I'm actually gonna. I realised something. So I don't know if Sam's still watching, but she's watching on X, and we never get comments on X, but she's actually put a comment. It's probably maybe even the first comment we've ever had from X.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. So here's an interesting thing. I think that what you share in your content on social we should really think about it in three categories. First of all, there is what you do, because clearly you are being active on, particularly on LinkedIn as a platform, but if you're doing it during your working day, probably on all of the platforms you're on, you're doing it as a tool, hopefully, to raise awareness and to, in the end, sell something. So the first thing you need to do is you need to share content about what you do. Now, most people are okay with doing this, albeit they often share the wrong kind of content. They share centrally generated content in a hope that, despite the fact that nobody's engaged with it on the business page and nobody's engaged with it when it's been sent as an email or a brochure, somehow magically people are going to engage with it on their platform, on their profile, which probably won't happen.
Yeah, because this is back to the the things, isn't it? Which is I don't have anything to say, so I'll say something corporate.
Yeah,
because exactly. if Adam, you come and laugh at me and say I don't like your brochure, you'll say, well, it's not. I only work for the company.
Exactly.
You know, it's not. It's nothing to do with me, is it? I've got enough. I've got nothing to say. I've got. And if I put anything out there, fire me. Which, if people are doing that in 2025, it's like, you know, it's like, do they still run fax campaigns and stuff? I don't know.
Well, very possibly.
Probably. And we still put the bin under the fax at night to catch the fax campaigns. You know. Sorry, I'm butting in.
No. It's cool. So the first kind of content is content about what you do. Now, again, you know, you often use the term buyer-centric, Tim. So you know, this is about what is the buyer going to find interesting about this content. They don't care about your company. They don't care about your product. They may well care, though, about what your product can do. I don't mean functionality-wise, but the problem that it solves. So rather than saying, we've got a product with the following features, you might say, we've got a product that addresses the following problem. And that's important because lots of companies we talk to are facing that problem. And maybe you are one of those companies as well. So this kind of content is really quite interesting, or quite central, and something that people often find quite easy. So content about what you do, because I, the buyer, need to be in no doubt about what it is that you're actually selling. So when I think I need to buy that, hopefully I'll connect that with my understanding of you. So that's the first kind of content. The second kind of content is about what I do. You know, all of us have been in a situation where we've been pitching to a company and the person at the company has said, have you ever worked with a business like us before? It's irrelevant. You know, if you're selling CRM software or human resources software or a new energy tariff or anything, it's kind of a bit business agnostic, probably even industry agnostic in many instances. However, the buyer wants to feel that you understand their challenges and the unique challenges that they're facing. So another kind of content that you should be sharing is whatever is of interest to your target businesses. So if you work in banking, let's say, if you're targeting banks with your product, then talking about regulated industries, investments, stock market movements, bank base rates, alliances between banks, government legislation, all of that stuff that's affecting banks may well pique the interest of those people that you want to have a conversation with. So you need to make sure the people know what you do, and you need to make them believe that you understand their challenges. And those two pieces of content are really crucial. And we've got a nice little bit in the Venn diagram going on there. But the third kind of content is content about who you are. And this is really, really
me as a person.
You as a person. And the reason for this is manyfold. So first, I need to understand whether or not I like you. You know, you sell injection molding machines. I don't know anything about injection molding machines. So when you talk about the minutiae of your injection molding machine, I don't understand what you're talking about. You know, you're the expert. I'm not the expert. How can I expect to have the same knowledge that you have? So I'm not in a position to be able to judge whether or not you're good or bad. In terms of what I do, well, I know everything about that. So I'm either going to think, oh, he's shown me something I don't know, or yeah, well, he clearly understands the same things that I understand. But the who you are bit is fascinating because it moves me closer to you. You share the same interests, the same values, the same sense of humor that I have, which is really nice. But also, everybody that you're trying to sell to is a human being, and therefore they have an innate sense of whether or not they like you. They're equipped with the tools to judge whether you're a good person or not. So the who you are content is really good about putting yourself out there. So they think, here's a person that I feel I could do business with. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is if you share a post about what you do, you're unlikely to get me to like it. And I know, you know why? Because you'll share the post, I'll drop a like on it, and the phone's ringing. Hello? Oh, yes, I
Adam, would you?
like the post.
Thanks for liking my post. How many do you want, and what color?
Exactly. And I think what's really interesting is that so often we we kind of are so desperate to make the sale that we want to keep sharing that stuff in a hope that the buyer will send us a message. I saw your product. I saw the post you did about your product. That's really fascinating. Can I buy one, please? That so rarely happens that we can pretty much discount that as being an option. And but we shouldn't stop doing those posts, because we hope that when we see that our post has received 100, 500, 5,000 impressions, some of those people will have read the post and maybe learned something, and they will start to make the connection between you and expert in their mind. No, this guy knows what he's talking about. So that's really important. But in and of itself, that is not going to stimulate business. You know,
enough business. I mean, the meeting I had on Wednesday was classic. I wasn't connected to them, and they'd been reading. You know, they said, and in this post you said this, didn't you?
Yeah, and it does happen, but it's a once in a blue moon thing.
It's not often.
Yeah. So I think that the thing that's really interesting about this is that those posts that we do, when somebody looks at our profile, they have to see that we know what we're talking about. They have to see this kind of content, but it rarely is the trigger for them to actually buy from us. And we see that because if you do a post of about what your business does or your new product, you might get a handful of likes on it, depending on how big your network is and how engaged and how lucky you are. You might get one, you might get 21 likes on it, but you get a few. The next pool, the pool about what I do, you're likely to get more likes on that content because that's something that I'm confident enough to agree with you or disagree with you about, because that's my specialist area. And I think that one of the great things about this is that it will stimulate more potential interaction than the first one, and it will give us a basis on which we can start to have a conversation. But the last one, which is the personal stuff, there's no risk attached to that. You know, you share a photo you shared a photo of your dad yesterday or the day before. He would have been 93. He would have been 93 today.
Yeah.
And loads of people put a like on it because they know you're not going to phone up and saying, do you want to buy my
Johnson with his ashes? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that isn't going to happen. So they felt safe in the knowledge that they could do that.
It's really key, I think, this threatening and non-threatening thing. And it's just the same, isn't it? That I've said before that, you know, psychologically, we have it in our DNA that if you pitch to me, basically it's a fight or flight reaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some people I know call it's commission breath, or you know, it's threatening or non-threatening. You know, a photo of me and my dad is non-threatening. And I always know, and as we know, that a picture like that will just blow up.
Yeah.
And it will be, you know, it will be the highest amount of engagement I'll have this month. And that's just I'm telling this to people because this is the hint. It's and don't worry about is this Facebook or if it's LinkedIn. It's a social network.
Yeah.
And what you're saying,
and the key word there is
social network. It's not a sales network. You know as well as I do that when you get your phone and you're basically, and it's like brochure, and you just scroll past. Oh, here's Tim. I quite like him. It's just about his dad. I mean, Nikki Stenton basically said, I remember when, you went through the process of your dad dying and stuff like that. Thanks, Nikki. And she said she sent me a hug.
Yeah.
And you will have these people that will know and love you. We always mention Brian Fanzo, and that social is about turning a handshake into a hug, and it's supposed to. The way I always describe it to people is, when you come onto a call and you have to do the creeping death, where you go, I'm Tim Hughes, I've been in sales for 35 years, I've worked in these marketplaces and stuff like that. What you put out on social should actually negate any need for that. Because the person would have consumed it. And what people find, I know that what people, when they work with us over time, what happens, they'll suddenly say, I went to a meeting, and they were quoting back some of the things that I've been writing. Yeah.
Well, we had that.
Trust that's how you build trust.
Yeah, we had that happen the other day. And I think we mentioned this maybe last week or the week before, where we were at it was either AWS or
it was Salesforce, I think, something, yeah.
Yeah. And a guy walks up to us and he's like, hi, it's lovely to see you both. And we're like, yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah. You don't know me, but I know you. And it's lovely when that happens, because it demonstrates that your content is landing and people are consuming it, and they are building an opinion of you, whether they like it or not. Hi, Andrew.
Andrew's late.
Nice to see you. You're never late, mate.
He's been loads of mine. Andrew, you turn up to loads of my stuff. I cannot thank you enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just thought I'd say that, because usually I'm like busy, like doing stuff, and it's Andrew, but I'm just saying thank you, and thank you so much for turning up and supporting us.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, so these three kinds of content that we share, but I think that it's worth again remembering that somebody sending you a message asking to buy is not the norm. So consequently, what getting engagement on your content does is it pushes your content out to a wider audience. But the most important thing it shows you the people that have dropped likes on it. Yes. So if you share a post and it gets 500 impressions, 500 people may have seen your content. You don't know who the 500 are. 50 people at Oracle saw your content, which is great.
I got 10,000 impressions on a comment. Yeah, and
who
were they?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's nothing,
lesson, isn't it?
There's nothing.
The bank manager. I got 10,000 impressions. What do you want a loan?
Yeah. So there's nothing actionable in any of that. But the beauty of getting likes and comments is that you know exactly who the person is. And what's really interesting, and the thing that really showed this to me, was that a while ago, hi Andrew, thank you.
Hello Andrew.
Yeah, we had
it just shows there's people out there. They're not all on holiday.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were doing some work with an Australian business, and one of the guys there did a really nice post. He lives near Exeter, and Exeter was the founding place of Penguin Books, and on the platform of the station in Exeter is a Penguin book vending machine. And he took a photograph of this and did a little post about it and put it on LinkedIn. And the post got 6.5 million views and nearly 40,000 likes. And nobody messaged him off the back of that saying, great post, I'd like to buy your products. So I think for me, the moral of the whole posting story is that when somebody engages with your content, they've taken a step towards you. What they haven't done is run up and thrown their arms around you. So you still need to walk towards them. And the beauty of a post that is successful, so your post about your dad got like 60 likes or whatever it was. So the 60 people, you know exactly who they are, and you now have a reason to message every one of the 60 people saying, thanks for liking the post about my dad. Yeah, it's always a difficult time of year. Reminds me, we've not spoken for ages. Do you fancy having a catch up? And the beauty of that is that, and we all can be socially engineered in exactly the same way. The beauty of that is that if I say to you, I searched on LinkedIn, I found you, you look really interesting. Can we have a chat, please? That's scary because I've done something, I've identified you, I'm targeting you. If I send you a message that says, thank you for liking my post, it reminds me that we've not spoken. Do you want to have a chat? I'm now doing this because of something you've done. So it feels to you like you're in control.
Yeah.
And I think that the place that I often see people get it wrong in the social space is when these little breadcrumbs are out there and they don't action the breadcrumbs. You know, it's like you would hope that if you did a post and it got 6.5 million views and it got 40,000 likes, you'd be sitting with your arms folded going, well, the phone's going to start ringing off the hook any moment. And actually that isn't the way that
I don't see anywhere anybody talking about this and talking about, I mean, I've been in social now for a decade and a half, over a decade and a half. And I've never seen anybody talking about how you monetize content.
No.
And I'm amazed because we've talked about it a lot. And I'm in a LinkedIn group, and they were having a go about, you know, things going, you know, shouldn't have to go, you know, virality isn't what you're looking for. And I basically said, yeah, of course. You know, there's loads of people that have said that their posts have gone viral, and you go, so is the phone ringing more? And they go, what do you mean? Well, if it's gone viral, surely you must be like
inundated
with inquiries about your product. And they go, no. It's like, well, what's the point of it? You know, if you do anything in marketing, there has to be a return. You know, if you're going to do, if you put £1 in marketing, you're going to get what, 10, 100, £1,000 back or whatever it is. But people are coming to social media, they're putting time and effort into it, and they're not getting anything back.
But I think that isn't because they're doing necessarily stuff fundamentally wrong. It's because they're not closing the loop, are they?
Yes. So you know, you'll get, you know, classic thing is a post about my sales kickoff, and what marketing will do is send a note around saying, can you like my post, which is kind of like, okay, well, you're just living in an echo chamber, but it may push it out to people that don't know about you. And I'm going to talk about this in a moment, but you know, but if you've got 250 likes, are you not going in and finding out what happens if, just so you like something? I was working on a bid. This is 12 years ago. Working on a bid in public sector, which you're not allowed to influence. They'd come out to tender. It was a university. I can't remember. Was it Newcastle or something? They'd come out to tender. And what I'd done with the Salesforce, we'd done this. We did the program because public sector, nobody's on social media. Rubbish. So we're going to do, every time you go to a meeting, you're going to connect to somebody. So what happened was that they go out to tender. So we put out an article that was exactly about the business. It wasn't about the we didn't mention the tender, but it said, these are the reasons why you want to buy an accounting system in education. And the finance director that we'd had a meeting with 2 weeks before that we'd connected to, and we were in a government-run process, so we weren't allowed to talk to the person, liked the article. Now, there's no connection between the fact that we won that business and but I know that none of the competition were doing it. So I knew what we were doing was ahead of everybody. But that's about, you know, we'd actually, you know, the salesman basically came to me and said, he's liked it. I said, okay, that's good.
Yeah, you would like to think it means that he's consumed that message.
Yeah. Or he's saying, I trust you, or something. So there we are in an active bid where we're not allowed to talk to the customer, but we're using social. And I wrote about this, you know, like 9 years ago or something like this, about how we were able to manipulate government contracts by using social. And it's just that way of using social and content, and then talking about the likes and comments and how you're using that to actually drive profit. And I don't see any LinkedIn, any social or selling or anybody experts out there talking about this.
No, and I think that's really interesting, isn't it? Because successful salesmen don't hand brochures out to people. I mean, physically or metaphorically. Because the problem with handing a brochure to someone is that you've basically said to them, this is all the information that you need to make a decision, and now it's over to you. And actually, what we need to be doing is we need to be trying to keep that dialogue open and control, or have some degree of control over where the direction of the conversation goes. And I think what's really interesting is that so often people publish content, they get some degree of success, they get 500 views and 20 likes or whatever, and they go, oh, that's brilliant, that's much better than my last piece of content. But they have no control over how that is resolved into a successful opportunity or a successful pitch. And I think that certainly when we were having conversations some time ago with a big American video producing type person, and this guy was saying, yeah, the thing about your content, or video in his instance he was talking about, is that it's all about the views. And it's all about the views because that's the bit that you would pay for if you were buying pay-per-click or promoting your post. So, if you go onto Google and you buy promotion of your content, you might pay a penny for every 100 views. So if you get 1,000 views, it's 10 pence. If you've got 1 million views, it's £100, or whatever the cost of that is. But the problem is that in the digital world, one impression means that 1 pixel or more has loaded for 1/60th of a second or more. So when you go onto LinkedIn, let's say, onto your newsfeed, and you just go scroll, and all of this stuff goes flashing through your newsfeed, everything that goes through your newsfeed is marked down as an impression of the content. And if you're scrolling very quickly, not only have you not consumed the content, I've not read your message, I haven't even noticed you, I haven't even noticed your message if I'm scrolling quickly enough. And yet you see that a person has had an impression of your content. So I think that the challenge for me in that as a measurement is that there are so many variables in that. You might have slowed down and noticed it was me. You might have read the message. You might have gone to my website as a result of that. You might have done it. There's an awful lot of ifs in that.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew's point there, where he says some of the likes and engagement you see on LinkedIn is from people from the same company. How do you create content that reach people who you want to reach? So I totally agree with you, Andrew, most of it, because what happens is that because people don't train people how to use social, they don't know what to do. Therefore, marketing usually takes an element of control. There will be, I've put something out about the brand, because marketing generally be about the brand. And they send out a note saying to all the salespeople saying, here's a link, go and click on it and click on it. And it's pretty much a waste of time and effort. They won't, nobody, if you put out a brochure about a company, I doubt anybody's ever rung up and said, can I buy one? So, you're not getting any return. And this is a social network. You sell stuff in the social part, not in the sales part. It's about connection and stuff. So to answer that question, it's actually about, we've put together, we've done the last 3 podcasts. One is about, you've got to have a buyer-centric profile, which when a buyer looks at you, they immediately see social proof. They can build trust. They see who you are. There's some vertically aligned content, and the content that Adam's talked about. We also talked about that you've got to be connected to the people. Most people on LinkedIn, your connections are ex-colleagues and recruitment consultants. So you need to be connecting to people, the people that you want to influence. So how do you create content that reaches the people that you want to reach? So first and foremost, you need to be doing that, because if no one's going to read the content unless you look trustworthy. If you're just another spamming salesperson, you'll just be ignored.
And they're not going to see your content.
And then if you're not connected to them, they're not going to see the content. So there's a number of building blocks that you've got to put in place. So kind of the content is the furniture of the house. You wouldn't go out and buy the furniture until you've got the house. So how do you create content that people that you want to reach? So there's a number of things that you need to do. So what Adam said, it's about you need to think about who your total market is and understand what their business issues are. And then what you're doing is that you need to create content that impacts their business issues. Now, this is not about creating brochures, because we know with brochures, if marketing creates something or they get a journalist to write it or something, what happens is you create a piece of content which is so perfect, and none of us are perfect people, and we know what it's going to say. It's going to say, buy my product because we're great. We know a brochure says that. If a case study is written by an organization, again, it will say, and Braun bought our product and they thought it was amazing. We know that. So we don't read it. And that's part of the psychology, one of the things, the psychology of what we teach. We need to actually understand the way that the buyer thinks. So what we're looking for is that if that slide that Adam put up is about, we're looking for things. What are you going to solve? What business issues do you solve? And if you sat in and brainstormed and said, well, we do this issue, this issue, this issue, this issue, this issue, this issue, and brainstorm it and write it all down. And then what you do is you go to ChatGPT and you put in the same question, you get a whole load of different answers. Don't just rely on ChatGPT, because it will give you wrong answers, or sometimes it won't understand the nuance. Basically, as you do that, that's your content plan. So you would have written down, these are the business issues, and you would have got 30. That's 30 pieces of content. And you write it in an authentic way. It doesn't only has to be 300 words, because people, as well as I do, we don't consume. We'll watch the first 10 seconds of the video and go, oh, don't like that. So we're just 300 words. This is how we solve it. Simple as that. And that's what you would. That's how you create that content. And the other thing is, you've got to understand that our connection, Andrew, Sam, is with you. And that's where what we're doing is that we're building connections. So when I create content which I think people will read, which when I put my post about my dad out yesterday, I knew people would read it, because I know people know me and they know about the situation, that my dad died. We've all had situations where, either our dad has died or we know someone whose dad has died, and we know that our dad will die at some time. So we're in that situation where we empathize and sympathize with it.
So Yayan, would it be helpful to recreate the Venn diagram, but from the target audience's point of view? Yeah, kind of. And the reason I say kind of in that nondescript kind of way is that the thing is that we can't understand our target audience's point of view, and we kind of have it covered here in terms of what I do, what the audience does perspective, because what we're looking to do is we're looking to have enough of an understanding about that industry, that vertical, even that company, if we're targeting one specific company or department, understand what their needs and their challenges are, and then make sure that we are creating content that talks to those needs, fears, desires that they have. But that does need to be supported by these other two things. So if you think about the importance of the who you are part of this, and I often think that the challenge in let's assume you want to buy something from a huge enterprise. You want to buy something from Oracle or from IBM or from SAP or whoever it may be. Part of the challenge is, who do you ask? Who do you phone up and speak to? You phone the switchboard and go, "Hi, I'm interested in an accounting system, please." And the receptionist looks and says, "We don't do accounting systems," because actually it hasn't got that on the list of products.
This is ERP.
Oh, well, I didn't know it was called an ERP.
Yeah.
And we're in this situation where unless you have a point of contact, there's nobody that you feel that you can pour your heart out to and say, "These are the challenges that I have, and I think you might be able to help me overcome those challenges." So it's all about you, and it's all about your content and what it is that you do, but it's also all about what they do, so that they feel that they can be trusted. But I think that the really important bit here is that how do you create content that reaches the people you want to reach? Well, you can't create content that reaches those people. You can only build a network that includes those people. And we need to remember that everything that we do in the social space is doing no more than loading the deck in our favor. You begin by you've got 1,000 connections and 100 of them are where you want them to be. And over the course of the year, you add 100 new connections every week. So a year later, you've got 6,000 connections, but now 5,100 of them, because you've only connected to people who are where you want them to be. Now 5,100 of them are in the place that you want them to be. So you've got a 5,000% increase in your chance of somebody that you want to talk to engaging with your content. So this is a really important thing. Does it absolutely guarantee? It's like, well, my customers on LinkedIn. Well, they are. You may be able to find a specific person that isn't on social. Yeah, of course. But what we know is that now there are so many people on social that we can pretty much guarantee that almost everybody you want to talk to, not every single one, but almost everybody is there.
Well, the converse to that is what somebody said to me, the 25-year-old said to me, which was, if somebody's not on social, they've clearly got something to hide.
Well, yeah, a very good point. I think that the key thing here is that what you're doing is you're loading the deck in your favor. So you make a profile that makes you look like you're obviously the best person in this industry. You're the most interesting. You're sharing the best content. You seem to be the most insightful. You seem to be the person that understands my challenges more than everybody else. So you're the front runner. You then make sure that you connect to loads of people who look just like me, because those are people that share the same issues, that are impressed by the kind of person you are, that acknowledge that you seem to look interesting and entertaining and all of those things. And then and one of the key jobs of content is to keep you front of mind, because I build a great profile and then I send you a connection request, and if I've done that right, hopefully you'll look at my profile and you think, that's an interesting person. But maybe you won't. But even if you do look at my profile at that point, we're now connected. How often can I message you asking for a call before you block me? Can do it once, can maybe do it twice. But if I start to do it every day, it's only a matter of time before you block me. So the purpose of content is that once we are connected and I have waved at you digitally, I've liked and commented on a couple of your posts, and I've sent you a message that says, thanks for connecting, it's great to be one of your network and all of that kind of thing, then the only vehicle I have to keep talking to you or keep waving at you regularly that doesn't seem like I'm a stalker is through my content. And that's one of the reasons why the frequency with which you post is crucial. Yeah, you don't want to be posting 20 times a day, because to do that, you would have to just share more of that vacuous marketing content that says nothing really about who you are. But you can write a piece of content every single day. And some of that content will be an in-depth piece where you're analyzing the challenges facing companies that look just like mine. But some of that will be, oh, look at this. I saw the first swallow of the year on my way into the office today. Or here's a lovely classic car I saw. Or, it's the summer holidays and I saw a couple of kids in the road kicking a football around. And remember when I was a child and I used to do that. And actually, part of what you're trying to do is simply to demonstrate that you are not a salesperson, that you are just a person. Like I'm just a person. And, we should.
It's going back to your it's back to your example, which is, would you prefer to present to a board or go to a football match?
Exactly.
You go to the football match. Why? Because I build a relationship with the. Why? Because if you always, when you ask people, well, I build a relationship. Well, what do? I talk about my family, and I find out that they're into smoking racks of something. They bought a smoker and etc. Oh wow, and then and that's it. You built, and that's how you build, and we're doing exactly the same as that, but on digital.
And I think that the key thing about doing this on digital is that if I choose to engage with you in that rapport building, networking, face-to-face manner, so be it at a football match or an event or a networking breakfast or a CEO's dinner or whatever it is, it is incredibly costly of my time. I've got to spend 2 hours on the train going up to London, to spend 2 hours over a meeting, over dinner with you, to spend 2 hours traveling home again. And maybe you couldn't get there, or maybe I'm sitting on the other side of the room from you, or maybe whatever it is. The beauty of doing this in the social sphere is that A, I don't need to be in the same room at the same time as you, and B, I don't have to just do it to you. I can do it to a million people who are just like you. Yeah, and it's that scaling and that not having to be there at the same point.
I mean, I'm just amazed, having come from an analog sales background of new business and the ability to be able to do it at scale. I had a conversation. Here we are. Oh, there's no one around, is there? Oh, yeah, there's no one around. So one of my prospects posts something today. So I just go and make a comment, and he would respond. So I've not. If I'd phoned him, it would annoy him. If I'd emailed him, it would have annoyed him. Hey, just pushing this up to the top of your. It's like, well, what I've done is I had a conversation with him about sailing. So while everybody else is trying to phone him and he's being ignored or emailed, I've had a conversation with him, and he now knows I know about sailing. I mean, I know about everything because I'm a salesman, and that's my job to know about everything. But and I can, but it's like, and it happened, and it's non-threatening. And here we are in a time when, you can't talk to customers. I'm talking to my customers every single day.
Yeah, and I think that what's really
building rapport with them.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting about trying to be an interesting, complex tapestry of these different interests is that it's a two-way street. So Andrea said, "You're a person with lots of guitars and likes music, Adam," which I am, and
he doesn't like music.
and I think what's really interesting is that when I show who I am, I also get to see who the other person is as well. Yeah. So it may be that I have an interest in guitars and music, and Tim clearly from this image has an interest in recorded music because he's got TAC reel-to-reel and an old gramophone behind him. And part of the joy of this is that most people are interested.
I found that the other day.
Most people,
which is going to be a post,
are interested in lots of different things. So if you show your classic car, a friend of yours, Tim, has got an old Triumph Stag.
He has
Triumph Stag. And before that, he had a
I'm hoping I'm going up to see him in a week's or so time. So
marvelous. So I think that the beauty of this is that you can engage about your interests, but you can also engage about their interests, and they might engage about your interests. And the more of these things, like I said about ice hockey, I can't skate. It's a fascinating game to watch, and I love to hear people talking about this. But I love to hear people talking about all sorts of things if they're passionate about it, because it may be that the bit that's missing from my life is your interest in knitting. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I get it. Boom, boom. Yeah. And that kind of brings us up towards the end of the session, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So we made a mistake. We thought there was only 3 sessions going up to the bank holiday, but there's actually a 4th. So we're actually going to be here next week, aren't we?
We are,
and we're going to talk about engaging. So we've done personal brand, building a network, content, and the next one we're going to do is talking about engaging, which is about going out onto social media and having conversations, or starting them, or
and it's like the glue that holds all of these bits together.
Yeah, there should be some sort of methodology or something. Maybe someone will come up with it one day.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Well, Tim, it's been a hoot, as it always is.
Yeah, and thank you to Andrew, Sam, Ion, all of the people that have made comments. Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. If you would like to come on as a guest because you have something interesting to say, please scan the QR code and fill out the form and join us as a guest. If not, we're so grateful that you came in the audience today, and we look forward to you joining us again next week with luck. So until next week, thank you all very much indeed.